Can you hear me? Greg?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Because I can't hear anything you're saying. Hold on. Maybe it's my end. Uh, did I mute you? Do you
Make
want to
sure
try
you're
now?
make
I can
sure
hear
you're
you now.
oh, okay. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So Greg, congratulations. That was an awesome swim.
Thank you. It was fun.
Uh-huh.
What
Fun.
can I say? Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You instigated this. You know that, right?
Yeah, no, I don't take credit for anything, but I mean, you have a solid swimming background. I mean, an athletic background.
Hmm.
Uh, so I don't think I don't think
No,
any of it
I
can.
remember the time when we went out to the buoy. Well, actually, we went to the park first, and the first day that you and I swam, you said, "Well, I'm only going out for a little bit. You
Mhm,
go ahead and just go out to the buoy." And I was like, "Alone?
mhm,
Uh, okay, I'll just go." I didn't know the place, so I'm just
mhm.
swimming out there. And at the end, you said, "Hey, you should swim Lake Ontario." And I thought, "No, I'm not. I'm not doing that."
So the reason I think I let you go was because I think I couldn't keep up at your pace.
Yeah, or maybe you had shoulder injury or something, or
Something,
I
yeah, I
don't
can't remember. Yeah, I've gone through a lot, yeah, in the
know.
past few years. But anyways, yeah, Greg, you know what? Something that noticed was you. I think you've also run Boston Marathon, right?
No, I ran a bunch of other marathons.
Okay, and they're all
I did
sub 3 hours.
I did and I would have qualified. I ran when I was 12 and 13 and 14. I ran a bunch of marathons, and
Wow.
one of them was 3 hours, and I think it would have qualified at the time. But
Okay.
that wasn't on my radar to do Boston. Just
Okay.
yeah. So I did do a few marathons, but yeah, not Boston. I
No.
wish I did.
And did you ever run again? Like, I mean, yeah, in later in the years. Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to do something called snorkeling,
Hmm.
which is I see it on your Facebook too. It's they use snorkels and flippers, and it's like swimming, but it's in a pool,
Hmm.
and there's different events. So that's how I started out, um, doing sports mostly, and then got into, I guess, triathlon.
Okay.
And I was a kid, so I did all kinds of things like swimming, running, biking, triathlon, and uh, did crazy stuff like that marathon. I think that was the Wang Marathon in
Hmm.
Toronto,
Okay.
1988, and I think it was like 4 hours and 36 minutes at the time. It was our first attempt, and then yeah, slowly got it down to 3 hours. Not that that was my goal, but I just always wanted to go faster. And then and I was also swimming with Nyack
Hmm.
for a year.
Okay.
And so yeah, sports were with me for a long time, but not necessarily competitively. And
Hmm.
then it sort of stopped. I did some jogging, but not real running. And then I restarted it at some point in 2015.
Okay. So, Greg, I know your parents are bureaucrats. Did you grow up in Canada, or like were you have you traveled around the world?
Yeah, we did. So they obviously, as you know, I'm from Hungary. So
Hmm.
at the time, Hungary was a socialist country. So um, but my parents were able to be, so like diplomats. They were sent out to different countries like Egypt and Algeria, where we lived. Both of these
Hmm.
places. I mean, I was a little kid, so I barely remember anything.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, but we've been to those countries, and then when I was 12, I found out from my dad we were in Hungary, and I found out we're going to Canada. So you
Okay.
know, and at the time I was doing the snorkeling thing. So we talked to a bunch of people, and they said, well, in North America, triathlon is a big thing. And the place where I was doing snorkeling, it was into pentathlon. So we were like, well, you can transfer those skills to
Mhm.
that. And then we started doing the triathlon thing, but as an amateur, right? There was
Okay.
no
Okay.
the good old days of getting naked in the transition area and stuff.
Very good. So, I mean, yeah. So your origins of swimming is through another sport, but now you're primarily focused on open water swimming, right?
Yeah, I had to, because you know, I think we might want to get into that, but I started up sports again because I had anxiety,
Mm-hmm.
and then I figured I got to really burn myself out to not be anxious. So I was doing marathon running,
Mm-hmm.
overtraining as I usually do, and totally injured myself. And then I figured, okay, I got to do swimming, and if I only did like an hour of swimming, it was not enough to keep me in shape. So I figured I gotta swim a lot, and that's how the marathon swimming thing came.
Okay. I know. Yeah. I mean, I wanted to talk to you about anxiety, but another important thing is I know there is something special about you. I'm not sure how.
There isn't anything, Madhu. I'm so
No,
generic, it's
no.
impossible.
When it comes to your physical ability, I don't know if I should say it as a disability or if it is. No, you. Okay. Um,
Whatever, yeah.
okay. No, I know you have always spoken about it. You said I think you were born with only a single kidney. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
true? Okay.
yeah, it's true.
And
And
how does that affect your, because I mean you perform at a high level. So how
yeah,
does that physically affect you? And I can certainly understand. Okay, because I mean having gone through a few things with my own health, uh, the physical aspect and the mental aspect. So how do they? Yeah, I know this is a loaded question, but I just
it
want to feel
is.
like, I mean, I want to see, okay, how I can benefit and how others can benefit, and
Right.
then of course we'll get into the details of, okay, all your marathon swims. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I was born with one kidney, which I never had an issue with.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, until the age of 14, we didn't know.
Okay.
They did a heart ultrasound at some point for some reason, and they noticed, oh, you got one kidney. But apparently 1 in 100 has one kidney,
Okay.
and most people don't know. But and it has never affected me lately. Where it did start affecting me was I had some kidney stones,
Hmm.
and obviously at that point you got to start watching the diet for kidney stones,
Yeah.
which I totally eliminated oxalates, which are my type of kidney stones,
Hmm.
and started drinking a lot, which I never have been in the past. And they said you got to maintain your kidneys, so you got to do that. Um, and it never affected me really until I actually started taking marathon swimming seriously and nutrition seriously, and doing blood tests and all that. And what we realized is to actually build up to an event and go through an event and train at this level, um, we've got to do it in a very special way, because as a person with one kidney, I'm not allowed to have as much protein as a normal person could.
Hmm.
So my daily limit on a normal day would be like 70 to 80 grams of protein.
Protein. Okay.
Whereas, if you're training up for some kind of event, you could probably like pack 160 grams to build muscle and that kind of stuff. So what I worked with a nutritionist, Ben Sitt, and what we came to do is figure out um, how to put those protein amounts or less than normal amounts in, but put them in at specific times and then
Okay.
spread them out through the day, so that
Okay.
it impact the impact of the protein is when it needs to impact.
Hmm.
And so basically what happens is, for instance, if I have a day where I have a hard workout, then we would sort of reduce the protein in the morning when I'm not training, and then put up the protein when I'm training hard. Same
Okay.
with weekend long swims. So those
Hmm.
would be the ones where I would actually go over my limit
Okay.
in
Okay.
a controlled way. It hasn't
Hmm.
caused anything yet, I can say.
Okay. Hmm.
So it seems to be working for now. But certainly it's difficult because especially difficult on the recoveries, because I found with Ben
Mhm.
that I used to bonk after large and heavy workouts, no matter how much carbs I would, put in.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so with the way that Ben was feeding me with the proteins,
Okay.
um, I didn't. So I could have like a 4 or 5 hour swim, and I would feel great after the way that we ate.
Okay.
But we got to watch the way that we do it so that it doesn't overload the kidneys at one time. So
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I think there is such a simple approach, right? Because body only needs what it needs, and it excretes everything else. So
yeah,
in like this approach, you're only limiting the excretion of protein. Okay. Right. That's amazing. Yeah. Like, I mean, simple concepts like this, right?
yeah, it's very and the difficulty really is also with the fact that not only do I have to watch the protein
Hmm.
and the way that I eat so that it's uh, perfect for swimming, but
Hmm.
I got to also watch what I like oxalates, so I can have
Hmm.
like spinach, beets, all the good stuff.
Right. Right.
So
Right. Okay.
it's a difficult scenario, but it's not that difficult if you really are serious about it. I'm
Mhm.
pretty used to it now.
Okay. Okay. And like, I mean, I have past kidney stones as well. Uh, it actually before my Lake Ontario swim, so I know the pain that one endures, and so yeah, that's amazing. That okay, so discipline is actually a key ingredient. One of the reasons when I sign up for something, because I know for that period of time I'm actually very disciplined, both
Mhm.
with focus and everything that I do, both physically and mentally.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have to do it because um, when I have kidney stones, it could be life threatening. Not life threatening, but I could lose my kidney. So
Right. Right. Yeah.
because when I had my last one, I didn't have many, but in the last one it got stuck, so I had to have surgery. So
Mhm.
that to me, I cannot risk that.
Right.
There's
Right. Yeah. Mhm. Amazing.
well, just
Yeah, but I mean, like the way you approached it, yeah, right. Like, I mean, you mentioned you have anxiety. In order to deal with that, you took up sports.
yeah,
Can you tell me more about that? Yeah, like how, like, what does it mean? Like, I mean,
yeah.
I'm, I shouldn't say this in a negative way, but I'm actually embracing mental health or putting a focus on um, mental health issues because I myself am going through PTS.
Mhm. Yeah.
But in the past, like being in the sport like you, I was able to identify things that I can control and things that I can't control.
Hmm.
But I'm at a stage where okay, hey, what is happening to me?
Right.
So that's when I'm okay. Hey, that's when I'm able to uh, put more emphasis on mental health or at least
Mhm.
issues. But yeah, it's a long way for me. But like, how do you deal with it? Like what is anxiety? What is it? Yeah,
Yeah.
help me understand. And how do you deal with it? And like, how do you? I know you've done a few swims,
Yeah.
so yeah, let's also get there. Yeah.
Okay. So the basic concept, as you know, is okay. Sports helps anxiety, so that's not a question. Um, Basically my anxiety was I can you know I can look at certain things in my life that this caused it or that caused it, but really I think I'm just born as an anxious person. I had to come to that conclusion
Mhm.
because maybe it was a school or maybe it was this or that, but realistically, I'm just prone to be an anxious person. And when I'm put into situations, which I do put myself into crazy situations all the time, um, I get anxious. So the root cause, was that we came to Canada, immigrated. I started a business, of all things, a collection agency, which is a high stress, scenario, especially when, now I'm the owner of a company and I don't have to physically myself collect all the time. But when I was on the collection floor myself, and trying to make ends meet to collect monies, it's a very high situation. Establishing a family in Canada, meaning like, establishing ourselves. It was very difficult, and I think that was the immediate cause. And so I was put on, unfortunately, I was immediately put on medication. But it was very bad. And I'm not going to knock the medication because it did help my life. But I was uncomfortable with being on it. And so for a long time, I was figuring out what to do with that. What do I do so that I don't have to do that? And, one day I don't know, it just came to me. I was out on the sidewalk, and I had a panic attack, and I was like, okay, I'm going to die here. And okay, well then I might as well just die. So I started running on the sidewalk, and in my jeans, and all of a sudden it just went away. And I thought, wow, okay, so if I do sports, it doesn't, it goes away. So then I started doing marathon running, and then I got injured, and then I went into the swimming thing. But that was the basic concept. Okay, I'm gonna do something so that my anxiety is not so much goes away all the time, but is controlled to some extent. And it was a long road. Took me a long time to come off of the medication, which I was actually, and I can say this, I was on escitalopram, which is definitely a savior for a lot of people. But I can tell you that your well, at least for me, my life was kind of blah, because you're, instead of being up and down, you're very level, and nothing really phases you. I mean, I actually, during that time, 7 years of taking that medication, I lost my sense of smell. I lost hair. There's a lot of things that people tell you, but coming off of it was the greatest thing that I ever did. But again, I'm not going to say to anybody, don't do it, because it definitely helps in your situation if you're just completely having panic attacks and stuff like that. But they put me on it right away, and I didn't have an option of discovering anything else when I had the first attack. How do you deal with it? So that's part of that. Then leading into the swims, the marathon swims were sort of like, okay, I'm fearing this. It checks all the boxes. I got to do this, right? Okay. And then my first swim, I had a 10K. I remember that year when I got injured from running. It was the Alma Couture 10K.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Right. So I actually talked to her, and she was like, no, you're late registering, but you can come.
Okay.
And got it done, and it was like, yeah, I'm hooked. This is this is it. And doing that, then I started getting, as you've seen, I got into some colder waters. And I'm not a cold water swimmer at all, but I can tolerate some. And so when you told me about the Lake Ontario, I was like, I'm never going to do this. And then I'm thinking, okay, well, it checks the boxes of afraid of the dark in the water, afraid of the cold, afraid of the long distance, alone in the lake. It's checking the boxes. I just got to do this. And so some of that stuff was cathartic too. I remember one time when I went down to Glow Beach, and totally dark. I forgot my buoy and my lights, and no one was showing up. And I thought, okay, this is the morning that I got to go in without everything, and it's going to be totally dark, and I just got to do it. And I was so afraid. I got in, and after 2 minutes, I was like, oh, this is great. And I started swimming, and I actually got mad at some guy that parked, the parking lot beside Glow Beach, because his headlights were lighting up the lake. And I'm like, turn it off. I'm happy now. I got to go.
Okay. No, I remember actually Lauren talking about you, because I believe Lauren did the 10K swim, or one of the 10K swims with you, and he mentioned that about you and your work ethic and the miles that you pack up in the pool and all the wonderful things. I know, yeah. So that's how I found out about you. And I'm not sure when or where we met. Maybe at at Lost, or I can't remember if it was at Coronation Park. It was just amazing. You have a fantastic stroke. I think that's how I actually. Uh, that's my first memory of spotting you.
Really?
Yeah.
I know. I remember Lauren.
Hmm.
I was swimming in at McMaster,
Hmm.
so I'm swimming my laps, and not that I'm a really fast swimmer, but usually I was pretty fast on the medium lane at
Hmm.
McMaster because there's some real swimmers there. And I'm seeing somebody swimming beside me, and I'm like, "What the hell? Who the hell is swimming with me? Like, I can't." And at the end, I stopped, but Lauren stopped, and like, "Who are you?" And so we started talking. So it was at
Hmm.
McMaster, but then I think he mentioned Glow, and I think
Hmm.
we met at Coronation.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, the
That's
first time.
amazing. Yeah, I know. You mentioned the 10K swims. How many 10K swims have you done?
Like races or just 10Ks?
Races or events or yeah.
Because my first event was I mean I as a kid in Hungary they have actually in Hungary there's a huge lake called Lake Balaton,
Hmm.
and as kids we were swimming that, like a lot of people swim that, like thousands of people every year. It's a 5K, so that was my first sort of a longer distance in the lake. And then I had I mean in workouts I swim 10Ks all the time. I mean
Okay.
but I swam Alma Couture a couple of times, just the Turkey Point, right? And I don't know, some other swims, you know, but yeah, all of them
You've
fun.
done so many you can't remember.
Well, I mean I can list them, but I know I did two 15Ks with Kanakwa,
Okay, nice,
the
nice.
ultras at Welland.
Okay, very
But
good.
I don't know. I did the Switzerland, right? The 26K, and then
Mhm.
this, which is the
Switzerland was Lake Zurich, right? The
yeah, it was Lake Zurich.
Raptors
Yeah.
Swim. Okay, that's another beautiful swim. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's and it's a beautiful swim. It's
Yes,
because
yes.
it's like the Nice of Switzerland. Like
Mhm.
all those beautiful cottages beside the lake, and the lake is not, like, contrary to what people believe, it's not a cold lake. I mean, it was like 23 degrees. It's not even, yeah. So yeah, that's a
Amazing,
beautiful event. Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. Um, so I know, like you swam across Lake Ontario this year.
Yeah.
Uh, what was your preparation like um, from a mental aspect? Because I know, I mean, everybody gets anxious, like to get to the starting line, because there are so many things that can happen during a swim,
Yeah.
and it's a massive project. You need to put in a team together. You need to put in all the right characters on that small piece of equipment, the boat, and you need to train for it. You need to figure out your nutrition. You need to get your head in the game, and you need your family support. I know your wife is an athlete as well, and so how did all these? How did you make it happen just to get to the starting line?
Well, so obviously I overtrain usually, so
Mhm.
I had to actually contact coaches, which was Lee and Susie at TriHeart, because
Mhm.
I saw that Gabe, who crossed the lake, was training with them.
Mhm.
And I asked Lee, like, do you mind if I train with you? Now, Lee, both Cinti, my wife, and I knew Lee from I think it was maybe GHAC or Hack, one of the swim clubs. And so we knew of each other. We've seen each other. But he said, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. And they got me training differently as opposed to overtraining, because I was putting in like 4 hours a day, training for nothing really. And they said, no, 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 you got to, there's cycles, it's very scientific. So they started doing that. Um, and so from the physical aspect, preparation was overseen by coaches, a
Mhm.
lot of intervals, a
Mhm.
lot of, like, you're talking probably 8K a day, sometimes 10
Okay.
in one shot, which, for some people it's not much. For me, it was heavy. And mentally, I think you put it, like, you helped a lot, because when you said you have to be at peace to swim that lake. You have to, really be there mentally. And the first year, which was right after or right during COVID, I actually postponed it. One, due to the fact that obviously I didn't know how the COVID restrictions are going to affect the team, but also I wasn't like, there were no pools, so I could not train in the pools. And I was thinking I wasn't ready, but really I wasn't ready, I think, mentally. And I trained myself to be mentally ready. I had help from a sports psychologist.
Okay.
And she helped a lot. I mean, we didn't have that many sessions, but she did help. And just described some situations that could happen. We thought about them. And I can really say that by the time that I had the last week before the swim window, I was just basically, I've never been that calm before. I thought I'd be totally like crazy, couldn't sleep at the time, but I could. I really just was like, let it happen. I didn't even look at the water temperatures that week. I was like, I'm trusting my team. I'm trusting the lake. I don't know how that happened, but I was completely calm. And I didn't even, I was normally like, everybody's anxious, but I wasn't panicking at all. It was
Beautiful.
It was good. Yeah.
No, I like what you said. Okay, the last week you weren't anxious and you slept well.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like, you started out the conversation saying, okay, you are an anxious person and you've gone through like panic attacks, and you reached a stage where you're conquering this. I don't want to use the word conquer. You want to get across.
Yeah, it's not a good word. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to get across this massive body of water, and you slept well. That's the best way a swim should start. Way to go. Awesome.
No, I think that was actually more of a feat than swimming itself, because being at that stage where I can just, just put trust in everything. There's a team there that's helping. They'll know when to put you in there, and help. And it was just, it was really good.
So you conquered yourself to get across the lake.
Yeah, not the lake. I didn't conquer the lake. I conquered myself.
No. You conquered yourself to get across the lake.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So I think that's how I'm going to title this this conversation.
It's crazy because I'm not religious or maybe not even spiritual much, but I know that when we started training in October and I sort of focused on the swim, the line of the crossing on the map just was like, okay, it's open for me. I had that in my mind, like it's there, it's happening, and I'm gonna do it. And it was just a weird thought that, like, wow, because before that,
association with it, right?
Yeah, because before that, when I thought of it, I didn't see that line. I was like, I will fail if it, like, and then all of a sudden I saw a red line, like, okay, from Niagara on the Lake to Toronto, and it's meant to be. It's gonna happen.
Awesome.
It was great. Yeah.
So I just want to we'll get to the swim. Like you mentioned, okay, you spoke to a psychologist.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a massive enduring project. Like, I just want to hit one last time about, okay, what were the elements of anxiety? Like, were there, okay, hey, I'm anxious about this, or like, I just want to talk about that, and then maybe we'll get to,
Well, watching Sean's session with you, very much on point. I was afraid of dying. I thought, well, my fear was, how do because I know I can go hard and I can go crazy, but my fear was, where do I know, or how do I know the limit? Like, won't I overstep that boundary where, there's no return? Like, where is that limit where you're overperforming and you're overdoing it? Because I've seen those swimmers that did that. Sporadically you hear those news, but I'm not reading those anymore. But I was assured by the psychologist and by other people, like, listen, you won't go past that limit. And that's why the team is there, so that the team will get you out. So, I guess I just had to put trust in people and my team, and they will know. And that was my basic fear. I didn't have a fear of specifically of drowning or of things deep in the water lurking. That was not my fear. My fear was just you know I- just that anxiety, because I did at one point abandon a swim before, which was Lac Saint Jean. And when you're long in the water, your mind starts playing with you. My thing was, at the time, focusing on my kidney as a fear, is I was swimming Lac Saint Jean at a great rate, making great headway, and I just, which I never have experienced before, I started peeing every 15 minutes, and I thought, why is this? Something's wrong with my kidney. I can't, I can't. I abandoned the swim, and later on, of course, doctors and everybody was saying, well, if you're peeing that much, that's good news. If you weren't, that's the bad news. But again, it's, if you're not at peace with what you're doing, I guess that was one of those times when I was very anxious from other things in life, and I wasn't there, and in my mind. And so, yeah, so the anxiety was basically, if you want to put a title to it, is I was anxious to overstep and die, to just, because I'm afraid that I can go so crazy that I just won't see that boundary where, but my body, I know it would likely say, you're stopping here, right?
Amazing, yeah. So you also mentioned like you had to put trust in the team, and then you trusted your team. How did you build your team? Like, I mean, I know Cinti plays a critical role.
Yeah.
Tell me about Cinti, and tell us about, okay, hey, these are the players who are going to take care of me. These are the people who will take care of me.
Yeah. So obviously Cinti was instrumental. She stuck with me through the whole thing. She wouldn't go sleep or anything. And the way that she supports me is she's very real. Like, if I whine about stuff, she'll be like, shut up, but if it's a real problem, she'll call it. But she supports me all the way, and she's obviously a way better cold water swimmer than I am, and has a lot of tolerance for a lot of things that I can't tolerate. So that's why I look up to her on those things. So I trust her opinion in many things, most things. And so she supported me. So obviously, I mean, she's my wife, so obviously that was a given. She's coming on the team. And then obviously Lauren, we know Lauren. He's, I mean, Lauren is Lauren. He helps everybody, and he's such a nice guy, and he's such a great marathon swimmer, that to have him on your team is, that's a win right off the bat. And and then Janice, who we know is also from Glow, who is also a great swimmer and cold water swimmer. So they've all experienced things that swimmers experience. So that was that, and obviously the coaches, Susie and Lee, they've seen this before, and Lee was a professional triathlete. Susie was an Olympic swimmer in Mexico.
Okay.
So they were at the high level before, and basically the whole team was built like this: is people who knew what they were doing. Christine, obviously she is the pilot to go across Lake Ontario, and we had a guest from Hungary who was the Zodiac driver, young kid.
Okay.
He was taken on because his name is Marcel, incidentally, just like my son, and he's the son of my best friend. So
Mhm.
The guy actually drives major large boats in Hungary, so
Wow. Okay.
he
Mhm.
wants to be a captain. So this was perfect. And then we had some people that didn't show because they didn't either they couldn't make it. Gabe and Isabella, they were supposed to be the medics, and Emily was to be my pacer. And at the last minute, I opted out of pacing,
Mhm.
which again that was a mistake because I needed pacing at the end, not at the end, but from basically like 32K. I was paced. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, the team was built with people who um, are uh, closer to me, not necessarily very close friends, but people that we
Mhm.
know, some of them close friends. And it just worked out
Awesome.
great.
Way to
Yeah,
go.
there's
Very
no, I
good.
don't think anybody not wanting to be on the boat, right?
Mhm. And I think we also spoke about nutrition. So,
Hmm.
what was your nutrition during the swim? I know, but no, I want to emphasize on your condition where you only have one kidney. Uh, so, okay, hey, how did you figure it out? Okay, this is what I'm going to eat during the swim, and if it doesn't work, did you have an option? Did you have like a fallback plan? So, and what was it, and how did you come to that approach or come to that judgment? Yeah.
Yeah, the nutrition, in hindsight, we all said, "Oh my God, the biggest mistake in in the whole crossing." But it wasn't really a mistake. So Ben and I put together the nutrition uh, in with mindfulness to the kidney
Hmm.
and with mindfulness to other uh, items, including kidney stones and all that. Which, in hindsight, we shouldn't have cared because of that, because it's just one day. Like, might as well do what you need to do for that crossing. Um, I think Ben and I tried to overdo it, and it was primarily my fault that I thought, hey, I'm smart enough to know better than everybody before me. I'll have a different plan. Um, and I'm not going to have just liquids. I'm going to have, meatballs from IKEA. I have Hungarian cottage cheese noodles. It was planned out. Except after the second 35, 40 minutes, it started to go to 50 minutes because I asked for an extra 10 to 15 minutes just because I was on a roll. And then the whole thing just shifted and didn't work out. I couldn't swallow the hard foods properly that much after a while. And the biggest mistake was no electrolytes. Like I thought the Gatorade would, but it didn't work at all. I started to seize up first my right arm, then every single leg muscle, every single arm muscle, and I was very concerned about that because
Okay.
at one point I was like, I can't keep going. It's done. And so the team rallied around me and said, no, you're gonna have something. And so they had the magic juice, which is an English brand that electrolytes, and it really
Mhm.
helped a lot. But it was the nutrition, although the intention was great to make it very comforting and good, uh, it didn't do what it needed to do.
Okay. Mhm. So, how was the swim? When did you
Uh,
start? And yeah, like, tell me, like, were there any tricky periods that you had to get through? And
yeah, the beginning was very just surprising to me because I thought I'd be like very scared and just swimming like crazy, and I was just very regular day. Got in, started going. The current was pushing.
Mhm.
I did 24K in 4 hours,
Wow.
and I was at 32K. I think at still at 750, or it was really it was going like crazy.
Mhm.
Um, and not much that I can say to that. I just kept swimming, and I thought, wow, this feels great. And of course, I wasn't pushing, but I was going at a good speed. And then everything just stopped. The muscles seized up, And it was an inflection point there where I almost quit. And that was the biggest or greatest experience. Is I was like, I can't move. I don't know how I'm going to do another 20K. This is not
Mhm.
possible. And then I saw the big boat and the Zodiac, so like they just converged on me, and they started screaming, "No, no, no! Keep going!" Um, and in fact, I found out later that Marilyn, the swim coach, or no, sorry, the swim master, she had a plan that if I was going to go to the boat, she would pull away with the boat,
Mhm.
and actually two times if they had to. So they had this plan, uh, but they didn't have to do that. The one thing that I think was out of the ordinary was, as a swim master, she did allow my coach to jump in darkness, which is usually not allowed, right? So the swim coach got a light, um, and got in, and he started telling me, just give me 2 strokes, give me 4 strokes, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't, I can't move. It's not that I want to quit. I just can't move. And he was like, no, 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 keep going. So, um, and eventually I just gave up arguing with him,
Mhm.
and I said, okay, I'll just do what he says, and that's what got me back on track. I mean, back on track meaning that I was doing a way slower pace, like very slow, but at least I was moving. Um, and yeah, after that, all I remember is me thinking, like, I can't believe how much pain I can take.
Mhm.
It was very, like, just, I don't know if it's mental or physical. It was just very deep, sort of like, I don't think I was even there mentally. I was out of my body, just watching what's happening. I can't remember any of it now because obviously it was painful.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's almost like time slowed down, and I remember maybe two or three thoughts over 20K and nothing
Mhm.
else. I don't remember watching the Toronto skyline. I don't remember the sunrise. A sunrise I do remember maybe, but I
Mhm.
just remember this whole thing. And at the end, I see, last at the 2K mark or 3K mark, I see the building that we have to head to,
Okay.
and then it's like, okay, that's where we're going. But yeah, it was it was painful
Mhm.
to me. So I wasn't. So what I'm saying with that is, uh, I wasn't as prepared as many other swimmers were, who can keep going at a proper pace till the end. I was struggling,
Mhm.
and even then, it was a good time. But that's because
Mhm.
the beginning was so fast that,
Mhm.
like, it just made up for that.
Okay. So if you revisit the nutrition mistakes, maybe you can change or alter your experience in the lake.
Absolutely, I
I
believe
believe
so.
I believe that's the goal, and you want to do that again in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I want to go back, and specifically next year.
Okay, awesome. That's
uh,
in 2023 or 24?
23.
23.
Yeah.
Way to go. Awesome.
Well,
I know you have an accomplice in this plan. I don't know if you want to talk about it. Yeah.
uh, there are a bunch of accomplices. Some of them I can't, because I was told not to publicize that.
Okay.
If you're meaning that accomplice, that uh, is she was like,
Very
"Don't
good.
talk about it."
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I have
But
actually. Yeah, yeah. This is amazing. I know you were thinking of uh, the mindset of making it a carbon neutral swim. Tell
yeah,
me about it.
yeah. So we've started brainstorming about that. Is, we as marathon swimmers
Yeah.
go and swim in the lake, and many
Yeah.
crossings are done with kayaks, which is, it's human powered. But there are a lot, including the English Channel, obviously, that are, done with diesel boats. So it's kind of selfish from me to go into Lake Ontario and say, I want to do this and I'm going to pollute. I thought that's such a bad thing. And Lauren's already ahead of me in this. He's purchased a boat with an electric motor, a Zodiac. So that was with us on the crossing. So it was partially carbon neutral, but then you got the big boat that obviously has, it needs fuel.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just in the brainstorming phase, not even there, how this could be done differently, because
Mm-hmm.
it's a different scenario, or difficult scenario, because you while if everything is perfect, the conditions are fine, you could probably go across on two electric dingies and you're fine. But first of all, if the weather's bad, you need something more powerful. And if something happens to either the swimmer or the crew, then you need some fast technology that can get you to the shore.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do that with carbon neutral tech?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe in offsetting, so that we'll plant 50 trees and then pollute the lake. That I don't think that's fair. So I don't know how to do that. We're just spitballing about that. I don't know how to do that. But
no, with regards to the technology that you're planning to introduce, I know you're working with a friend in Hungary. Can you tell the world about us, about like what you guys are thinking and what you're planning to implement? And yeah.
Well, it's kind of tricky because I haven't spoken to Christine yet, who was my pilot on the first one, and I think we need input from her as well. So the thought is there now exist hydrogen or hybrid hydrogen and electric boats.
Mm-hmm.
There's some solar powered in the Caribbean, and they work fine. And there's some solar powered sort of smaller boats that you can purchase for like $35,000. The issue here is it's a crossing that could go from like 16 hours to 24. And you need those batteries or your power source to last.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the challenge. That's one of the challenges with it. So my friend in Hungary, he works strangely enough, he works in diesel and he works in hydrogen.
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling me that the tech is doable, but you've got to test it, you've got to license it, and you've got to do it in a place where hydrogen is available, so you can go and refill your.
Mm-hmm.
And I've checked into it a little bit, and I know in BC they are now funding a large boat
Mm-hmm.
with hydrogen. I think it's going to be like a crossing boat that takes people from one place to another. So it's not a cargo; it's a passenger ship.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know anything about it. I'm not a chemist. I'm not a physicist. I'm not a scientist. And I think we need to involve people that are way smarter than us, which is great. That's what we need to do. So that's where it's at, and I don't know where it's going to go. I mean, if we could even think, okay, we're just going to have 20 people rowing on a boat. That's human powered. I don't know.
So how is your training like right now? Yeah.
It's it's an hour a day.
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 times I swim, and then 2 or 3 times I do a dry land.
Okay.
It's just fun.
Way to go. Awesome. Yeah. Greg, I enjoy hanging out with you. I enjoy swimming with you.
Same.
Thanks for your time. And is there anything else that you want to tell us?
No, Madhu, I listen, what I want to say is I really appreciate you turning me onto this. And it's really what it's made out to be. Once you cross it, it's wow, it's a great feeling.
Congratulations again, Greg, and yeah,
Thanks, Madhu.
Good luck with your training, and let's make it carbon neutral. But yeah, I know it's I mean, like introducing a new concept and technology is not easy, but
Mm-hmm.
but let's push that barrier.
Yeah, we need to.
Yeah. Okay. Cheers. Awesome.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Madhu.
Have a
Appreciate
nice
it.
day. Yeah. Bye bye.
You too. Bye.